Shalom, shalom, shalom. Shalom. Welcome. Praise the Almighty. Shalom. Shalom, Johnny. Hey, you're a testimony and a beacon too. You and another person from last service, because it shows that you guys, servants of the Almighty, able to take corrections. So I tip my hat to you, brother Johnny, pressing and whatnot, and even through it all, it shows that there's times I come through your alley and you keep standing, and it's not that I have a problem with you, brother Johnny. It has nothing to do. It's just when the word goes forth, it goes forth. It's going to come through someone's alley, and it's not going to just be the sinners. There's going to be areas where brothers and sisters could come up higher, and the word goes forth. And so everyone, but especially you, brother Johnny, I appreciate you, because you're a witness. Like, hey, correction is correction. And we were talking a while ago about a situation that you observed with someone else, and you said, hey man, that's correction. That's correction. It's not, oh, someone wants to attack, because essentially my goal is to save souls. So how am I going to save souls if I'm beating them up? How am I going to save souls if I'm attacking them? How am I going to save souls if I'm always offending them? That would be counterproductive. But through me wanting people to be saved, it's like, hey, the whole world has always gave an escape. A lot of women says, man, I keep running across the bad guys and this and garbage relationships, and now I have 2 or 3 kids out of wedlock. That's because you're picking. You feel like, oh, those guys are boring. That's the guy in college. Oh, those guys probably are bad in bed. That's because they're not running around going to clubs and doing one-night stands and shit. They don't have a lot of experience with women because they're keeping themselves and they're trying to be married. So they're not going to be as good as the bad guys. They don't go to clubs like the bad guys. They don't listen to rap, and they don't dress, and they have their mind. And then in the end, you're like, oh, where are all the good guys at? You said they were square. Oh, I got a kid out of wedlock. Oh, I'm just going to get an abortion. The world has catered to bad behavior. And so when the word goes forth and he attacked these Pharisees and these Sadducees, they didn't like that. They felt like they're above reproach. I'm a lawyer. I'm a Sadducee. I'm a Pharisee. Who are you? Who are you to come and flip these money tables? By what authority you do these things? They couldn't receive correction. And that's why I thank the Almighty that my dad gave me spankings, and there was a man in the home. And I thank the Almighty that I lost some fights. I won some and I lost some. And you have an understanding that in life, when you see someone that's never been in a fight, a man, and their parent, they've never been in the fight, and their parents always spoiled them, when they get into the world, they have this chip on their shoulder and this ego, and they have this inflated head. And so the word comes forth, and he pops that bubble. And a lot of people just can't receive correction. Or when you bring correction, have you ever seen where they'll start an argument and they'll deflect it? Or a lot of women, you'll come down their alley. If you guys know relationships, women do this a lot. Dudes do it too, but not as much as what I've seen. You come down their alley, and then now they deflect the argument and say, but look how you're talking to me. And so the whole argument is how you're saying it, and your tone, and this. And then we never actually deal with the original argument. And so the whole world has been around deflecting or not coming down people's alley. And so I love the word. He says the word, because I hit this from the wise and the prudent. You know what I'm saying? Not many wise men will make it in. Not many rich men will make it in. Not many beautiful women will make it in, because they don't have the capabilities to receive correction. They have been catered. Have you talked to a woman that all their life has pretty privilege because they got a nice body and a pretty face? And so they never had to develop any relationship skills because they got through their whole life with their looks. And so man just catered to bad behaviors because she's a bomb, she's a dime piece, and I'll just go ahead and put up with it because she looks good. And they go from man to man and never had to deal with the relationship, with arguments, with this. And so they're very shallow when it comes to social development. They're very shallow. Have you dealt with a person that's always been a CEO or always had money, and when they run a company, they really don't care about the employees, versus a CEO that's been an employee, that they actually pushed the shopping carts and went in the parking lot and got the shopping carts and worked their way up? It's two different things, because he knows how it is, versus a person that didn't have to develop those skills at all. So, oh, just fire them. Oh, this is okay. All this and this. Just give them the last check. And they could care less. They're just a number. And so, you know what I'm saying, brother, back to Brother Johnny, I appreciate you because through it all, you know it's the word. You know it's the word. You know what I'm saying? And you press it. It has nothing to do with Simon making attacks on people. I'm trying to save souls, but I'm just going to talk trash about the people I'm trying to save, and I expect them just to come running. I don't like being a person doormat. I never believe in anyone being a person doormat. I've always say I'm just one piece of the puzzle. I don't think I'm above anyone. I don't run True Hebrews United like most churches where the pastor has this special seats and the pastor has this special robe, or how dare you, and this is the first lady and you bet not say nothing about the first lady and this and this and this. I've always been like, hey, if you and Sister Whitney have problems, hey, you guys go talk that out. Work that out. Hey, this and this. If Sister Whitney's wrong, then she's wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. We all got to, me, especially myself, I never got to believe that I'm above reproach. There should always be a brother and sister that could be able to come to me and say, hey, Simon, what you did is not right. Or I don't appreciate that. And hey, if I'm wrong, I got to eat it and apologize for it and man up for it. So I appreciate all you guys. I want you guys to make it into the kingdom and be saved. How much time we got? Is that almost time? It's the feast. A tabard. Oh yeah, it's time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. The True Hebrews United. The Almighty Yeshua. This is beloved holiness instructor, discipleship drill sergeant. About to get into the book as usual. Definitely. There's people late. Where are you at, Brother Vince, Sister Gia? I don't see you guys commenting. Where you at? But definitely give all honor to the Almighty, Yah, through His Son Yeshua Mashiach on this feast day, blowing the trumpets. Praise the Almighty. Definitely give all honor to the Almighty through Yeshua Mashiach. All the brothers, all the ministers, the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the teachers, the elders, the bishops, the deacons across the whole planet, teaching and living this word, persuading people to repent from their sin and come to this gospel, for it's everlasting too late. Definitely all the brothers and sisters that keep the Almighty's commandments, statutes, judgments, precepts, and ways. Appreciate you guys. It's a tough walk. We just got to do it until we give up our last breath, or until the Almighty comes back here. Speaking of that, we'll be teaching on that in a little bit. So definitely thank all you guys for that. Praise the Almighty. I thank the Almighty for the blowing the trumpets. It's a major blessing. Feast of Trumpets. Praise the Almighty. As you can see, we are in our whites. I'm not going to show the fringes. I'll show a little bit. Hopefully you guys can see. Yep, there you go. You guys don't be showing your stomach. So praise the Almighty for the feast. It's a major blessing. Thank you all the Facebook and the YouTube people. I love you guys. I want you guys to make it in this kingdom and be saved. I'm going to be teaching on the feast days. Some scriptures I'll be moving fast because I got to read the whole chapter. And but I'm going to come from a different angle. I think you're going to like this angle. And to next Sabbath service, you guys are going to like that service too. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to like it. It's going to be nice and juicy. So, praise the Almighty. It's the Feast of Trumpets for all you people that don't know what trumpets is. Oh, shalom. There you go. Shalom. I can't really read the comments from here. So every once in a while I'll look forward and read the comments. Shalom, everyone. So with the Feast of Trumpets, we are going to get in the Feast of Trumpets, but I am going to come from a different angle this time because I teach on what it is and why it stands and all that stuff. And it becomes monotonous, but there's always new viewers, and so I still have to teach it to the point to where, to the people that's seen it, yeah, if you've seen it, yeah, he uses pretty much the same scriptures every time, this and this. I get it. But remember, there's people that come after you that do not know these scriptures and do not know the symbolism of the feast. So, with all that said being done, keep standing. Oh, wait up. Oh, that's not the end of service. Let's let the fingers do the walking and the scriptures do the talking. I was about to say, give the Almighty hand clap in the service already. We done right there. So, Leviticus 23. Leviticus 23. Start at verse 1. And we'll read pretty much the whole chapter. Leviticus 23. So I'll be reading it kind of fast. I'll stop at some key points, and then we'll run. Shalom. Let's get it. You guys ready? Leviticus chapter 23. We're going to read the whole chapter. There you go. Scripture do the talking. Let's get it. And the Almighty spake unto Moses, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning my feast unto the Almighty, which you proclaim to be holy convocations, meaning you meet up on live streaming, or you meet up with the brothers and sisters like you guys did last night, Sabbath night. The feast of the Almighty, which you proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts. These are the Almighty's feasts. 6 days may work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest. The holy convocation, you shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Almighty in all your dwellings. So wherever you live on the Sabbath, you do not work. Don't carry no burdens out of your home. Don't be kindling no fires. There's other stuff with that. We're not dealing with that. It's a holy convocation, so whether live screen or whatnot, if you have brothers and sisters you know, you need to meet up with them. If you only know one brother in that city, meet up with that one brother for some prayer and for some opening of the scriptures. It's a holy convocation, a holy assembly. Let's keep going. These are my feasts of the Almighty, even holy convocations which we claim in their seasons. This is verse 5. On the 14th day of the first month at evening is the Almighty's Passover. On the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread. Unto the Almighty 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. In the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no silver work therein, but it shall be an offering made by fire unto the Almighty 7 days. And the 7 days a holy convocation. You shall do no silver work therein. And the Almighty spoke unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying unto them, when you come into the land which I give unto you, you shall reap the harvest, and you shall reap the harvest thereof. Then you shall bring the sheaf of the first fruits of the harvest unto the priest, and you shall wave the sheaf before the Almighty to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath the priest shall wave it, and you shall offer that day when you shall wave the sheaf a lamb without blemish on the first year of the burnt offering on the Almighty. And the meat offering shall be 2 tenth of flour mingled with oil, and the offering made by fire unto the Almighty for sweet savor, and a drink offering. And there shall be of wine and 4 part of hen, and you shall neither eat bread nor parched corn nor green ears until the same day that you brought in the offer unto the Almighty. It shall be a statute forever throughout your dwellings and all your generations. So it says forever. So keeping the feast, this is a statute forever, and that's the first time he says forever. Let's keep going. You shall count unto the morrow after the Sabbath from that day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering 7 Sabbaths to complete. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath you shall number 50 days, and you shall offer a new meat offering unto the Almighty. You shall bring out of your habitations 2 waved loaves of 2 tenths deal, and you shall be a fine flour. It shall be baken with leaven. These are the first fruits unto the Almighty. The first fruits, we dealt with that when that feast passed. And you shall offer of the bread 7 lambs without blemish of the first year, 1 young bullock, 2 rams shall be for a burnt offering unto the Almighty, and the meat offering, and their drink offering, even the offering made by fire for a sweet savor unto the Almighty. Then you shall sacrifice 1 kid of goats for a sin offering, 2 lambs in the first year for a sacrifice for the priest offering. The priest shall wave with the bread of the first fruits for the wave offering before the Almighty 2 lambs, and it shall be holy unto the Almighty and the priest. You shall proclaim the 7th day that it be a holy convocation unto the Almighty. You shall do no work therein. It is a statute forever in all your dwellings and all your generations. So it's the Feast of Weeks, Pentecost, Feast of First Fruits. It says forever again. And when you reap the harvest of the land, you shall not make clean riddenness of the corners of the field. But when you reap, neither shalt thou gather the gleaning of the harvest. You shall leave them for the poor and the strangers. I am the Almighty. So that was Wick. That was EBT right there. And the Almighty spake unto Moses. Here we go. Now we're getting some more of the feast. Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, in the 7th month, and the first day of the month, which is today, you shall have a Sabbath, which we are, a holy convocation, which we're doing. A Sabbath, a memorial of trumpets, a holy convocation. You shall do no silver work therein, but it shall be an offering made by fire unto the Almighty. Now we already understand that the Almighty Mashiach is our sacrifice and our burnt offering. He is our offering for sin. So that part of how to keep the Sabbath, we do not have to observe because he is our sacrifice. But everything else, it says these are forever. So anything that pertains, pertains. And anything that remains, remains. So let's keep going. So that's what we're in today, the memorial of trumpets. But what is a memorial of? Because a memorial, like they said, Memorial's Day or anniversary or birthday or whatnot. Now, there was no trumpets blown. There was no trumpets blown when they were in Egypt. So what is it a memorial of trumpets of? And we're going to get into that. There was, when you read, you could read when Abraham, Noah, you could read even when they went in and Moses delivered them. There was no trumpets blown. Like we see the Passover because he actually passed over and killed all the firstborn of the Egyptians. But there was no trumpets blown to where it says it's a memorial of trumpets. They were keeping a feast that they had no understanding of until the prophets came and gave them revelation. And maybe they understood what a memorial of trumpets meant. Let's keep going. And the Almighty spake unto Moses, in the 10th day of the 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation. You shall afflict your souls, an offering made by fire unto the Almighty. You shall do no work therein the same self day, for it is the day of an atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Almighty your Yah. And whatsoever soul shall not be afflicted in that day, you might want to fast. Mainly that's how they afflicted themselves. That day he shall be cut off from among his people. He's serious about keeping the day of atonement. Let's keep going. Praise the Almighty. For whoever soul that doeth any work that same day, that soul will I destroy from among his people. You shall do no manner of work. It is a statute forever throughout your generations, all your dwellings. That's the third time he said it, right? These days are forever. It shall be unto you a Sabbath rest. You shall afflict your souls on the 9th day of the month at evening, and even in the evening. So we understand how the Sabbath goes. Some people say it's a rotating one, or it starts as it says from evening to evening. And there's another scripture that says from the going down of the sun and whatnot. So from evening to evening. I think some people say from, I don't know, 12 or I don't know. There's a lot of different stuff out there. Some people arguing about dinosaurs and whatnot. I just leave it alone. From evening to, we're going to celebrate the Sabbath from evening to evening. Bam, problem solved. Let's keep going. Even to evening you shall celebrate your Sabbath. And the Almighty spake unto Moses, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, on the 15th day of the 7th month shall be a feast of tabernacles, which is coming up. So we have this week feast of blowing of trumpets. Next Tuesday at evening to Wednesday at evening, we got Day of Atonement. Next Sunday at evening to Monday at evening, what they call those days, is what the Almighty calls them. The first day of a Feast of Tabernacle, and then the following Sunday at evening to Monday at evening is the last day, or the 8th day of Feast of Tabernacles. Let's keep going. Well, the 8th day isn't the Feast of Tabernacles, it's the day after the Feast of Tabernacles. Man, stomach hurts for some reason. Let's keep going. 7 days shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Almighty. This verse 36, on the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you. And you shall offer unto made by fire unto the Almighty. It shall be a solemn assembly. You shall do no silver work therein. Man, I feel weird right now. So, all right, I'll keep going. These are the feasts of the Almighty, which should be claimed to be holy convocation, an offering made by fire unto the Almighty, for a burnt offering, a meat offering, a sacrifice, and drink offering, everything upon his day. Besides the Sabbaths unto the Almighty, besides your gift, besides all your vows, besides all your free will offering. So I'm going to come down to here. We'll stop right there, because that's everywhere where it says forever. My main point is these things are forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings. So we keep these feasts without end. Forever means forever. People argue it's done away with. So then is heaven done away with? Or eternity, everlasting life done away with? You can't do away with the term forever. You can't change the meaning of it. So now let's keep going. Give me Luke 21. I feel weird. Something just came upon me like out of nowhere. I don't think I ate anything wrong. I feel like throwing up. It's kind of weird. If I do, I'm gonna still teach. It's the feast. I ain't quitting. Let's keep going. Luke chapter 21 came out of nowhere too. Luke chapter 21. Verse 5. We're going to take our time and break this down. Bear with me. I don't know what happened, but I feel like nauseous right now. Let's get it. Luke 21, verse 5. And some of them spake of the temple. Some of them spake of the temple. Now we're dealing with blowing the trumpets, or memorial trumpets, so keep that in mind. And it was adorned with goodly stones and gifts. And he said, of these things which you behold, the day will come which these shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And they asked him, Master, when shall these things be, and what signs will there be when these things shall come to pass? So in this aspect, he's asking the destruction of Jerusalem. Now we're going to read this. And he said, take heed and be not deceived, for many shall come in my name and say, I am Amashiach. And the time draweth near, and go ye not thereof after them. When you shall hear wars and commotions, and be not terrified of these things, for first to come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Then he said unto him, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Great earthquakes shall be in divers places, which we are seeing that. There are places that are having earthquakes that historically never had earthquakes in that area. Let's keep going. And there definitely wars going on. I mean, and rumors of wars. I mean, you got Iran versus Israel, the false Jews versus Palestine, Saudi Arabia versus, I think, Yemen and whatnot. You got the whole Ukraine stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going on. The South Sudan. There's a lot of wars going on that they're not putting on the news. Before all these things, there should be, they shall lay hands on you and persecute you and deliver you unto the synagogues and the prisons and brought before the kings and the rulers in my name. And this happened before the destruction of Jerusalem. The apostle Peter and them, they were put in prison. Peter, Paul, they were put in prison. This stuff happened before the destruction of Jerusalem. Settle it therefore now in your hearts and meditate what you shall, and not meditate what you shall answer. For I will give you a mouth of wisdom. With all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. And you shall be betrayed by parents and by brethren, by kinfolks, by friends, and some of you that they shall cause to be put to death. And you shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But there shall not be a hair of your head perish. In patience possess ye your souls. And you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies. Know that the desolation thereof is nigh. And this is what ended up happening. The true Hebrews actually revolted against Roman's rule, and Roman came and destroyed it at that time. So let's keep going. You could look that up in history. Let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let them which are in the midst depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter therein. For these days be a days of vengeance, and all that are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. There shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And so this is why there is no rapture that people say. If this is the day of the Almighty, what does it matter if I'm with child? Why does it matter if I'm in this city? It says don't go to that city. He's talking about the destruction of Jerusalem, and then they tie this into the end of the world. And I'll prove that right now with the book. We're going to deal with a little bit of Bible prophecy, because memorial trumpets actually is dealing with Bible prophecy of what's going to happen. So let's keep going. Verse 24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and they shall be led away captive into all nations, which we did. That's how we got here. In all nations, Jerusalem shall be trodden by the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. The time of the Gentiles is not fulfilled because the false Hebrews still occupy, the false Jews still occupy Israel. This is their time of the Gentiles to occupy our land. When he builds new heaven, new earth, and new Jerusalem, this is when we will return. This is when he says he will gather us from all nations. This is why a lot of Hebrews, they're getting out of Babylon and they're going back to Jerusalem. I don't recommend doing that because these false Jews are super racist, extremely racist against black people. Go to a non-racist place. Go to Ghana. Go to like someplace in Africa. Go to Belize. Like, don't go to the most racist. He will set up New Jerusalem, and then we will occupy it. But until then, I do not want to go to Old Jerusalem with racist people. That's like me going to a place that's nothing but KKK. Like, you really want to trust these false Jews cooking your food at a restaurant? You really want to put yourself in that? But you know what? They're out of Babylon, so I can't knock it. They want to go to the homeland, so I can't really knock it. But I do not recommend you go to Old Jerusalem. Just wait for New Jerusalem to get set up. Go leave Babylon, but just don't go to Old Jerusalem. That's my recommendation. Do what you got to do, but just get out of Babylon, though. I'd rather you go to Old Jerusalem and get out of Babylon than stay in Babylon. So let's keep going. And there shall be signs of the sun and the moon and the stars, upon the earth, and distress of nations and perplexities in the seas and the waves roar, and men's heart failing for fear, for looking those things to come, which they are, whether it's nuclear war or whether it's, they said by a certain year. I was talking to Vince. They said a third of all the fresh water will be gone. When you look at China's biggest lake and certain lakes in the United States is just disappearing. Huge rivers and lakes are just gone. I'm talking about within a year, like huge rivers, just all the water's just leaking out, just evaporating or just sinking down in the earth. But let's keep going. Verse 27. Then you shall see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great. So he's going to come. Check this out. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. And he spoke unto them, and behold, the fig tree and all the trees, when now shoot forth, you see, know that your own self that summer is nigh at hand. And same thing, when you see this stuff sprout, spring is happening, summer is coming. So likewise, when you see these things come to pass, know that the kingdom of the Almighty draweth nigh at hand. And we see some of these things coming to pass. But a lot of this stuff he's talking about right here, because they asked him the destruction of Jerusalem, this is dealing with the destruction of Jerusalem. So let's keep going. A lot of Christians and a lot of believers mix the destruction of Jerusalem that already came to pass with what's going to come to pass. Because it says, I'll scatter you through all nations. That already happened. So we know that a lot of this has been fulfilled. But let's keep going. Verily I say unto you, but he deals when the Son of Man comes. So in the same passage, he's also dealing at his coming as well. But we just got to be able to separate the two. Let's keep going. So likewise, when you see these things come to pass, know that the kingdom of God is nigh. Verily I say unto you that this generation shall pass till all be fulfilled. So some of that stuff he's talking about will be fulfilled. They went to prison before the destruction of Jerusalem. They were put in prison. They were persecuted by family members and all that. We could read that in the book of Acts. Let's keep going. Heaven and earth shall pass, but my word shall not pass. Take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeinness and drunkenness and the cares of this life, so that the day come upon you unaware. And that's what I'm going to deal with Memorial of Trumpets today. They come upon you unaware. For as a snare it shall come unto all them that dwell upon the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and stand before the Son of Man. I 100% believe that when the Almighty starts blowing these trumpets, because we're going to deal with Memorial Trumpets, it's only going to be preppers. Because it says faith without works is dead and being alone. If you're not storing food, if you're not trying to be self-sufficient, if you're not trying to get out of Babylon, if you're not trying to do the right thing, these days will catch you unaware. Or the worst thing is you're going to see it and you're just going to go right in. It's like you're going to see this dark alley and there's criminals or rapists or thugs or whatnot, and you're going to see this dark alley and you're going to still walk in it. And that's the people that make no preparation. You're going to see the tornado come and you're just going to stay here and not get your family in the car and drive the opposite direction. Or you're going to see the fire coming and you're just going to stay there. Not even take out a water hose, which will do nothing to fight it. You're just like, I'll just take my chances. And you're going to get caught unaware. Now, he was asking the destruction of Jerusalem. So let's get into Matthew 24, where we get more understanding of what he was saying. Matthew 24. And it's all tied to the blowing of trumpets. Trust me. Matthew 24. Starting at verse 1. We'll be reading the whole chapter, but I will not go fast because I want you guys to take note of this stuff. Praise the Almighty. And Yeshua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him, showing them the building of the temple. And he said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not one left here one stone upon the other that shall not be thrown down. So this is the same one, right? But Luke's account isn't as in detail as Matthew's account. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, his disciples said unto us, tell us, when shall these things be? So he was talking about the destruction of Jerusalem, right? There shall not be one stone left upon another. That temple is already destroyed, right? So the destruction of Jerusalem. And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So this time he asked them 3 questions. So when a lot of Christians read this, they tie this all into the end of the world. They tie this all into just his coming. They never realize that a lot of this passage is dealing with the destruction of Jerusalem. When shall there be the destruction of Jerusalem? the sign of the coming to the end of the world. The destruction of Jerusalem didn't mean he was going to come or in the world at that time. So let's keep going. Yeshua answered and said unto him, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Amashik, and shall deceive many, and ye shall hear wars and rumors of war. See that none of these trouble you, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. All these things are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you to be afflicted, and they shall kill you, and thou shalt be hated of all men for my name's sake. And look, he's letting you know that we need to be faithful unto death. If we're playing around, struggling with the Sabbath or struggling with this stuff, it says you got to be willing to die for his name's sake. He says it right here. Let's keep going. And they shall, and then shall many be offended and betray one another and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise and deceive many. And we see that. How many of these liquor store churches, how many of these false camps out there? We see because they give you, did you know rat poison, 99% of rat poison is edible food? But it's that 1% of strychnine or whatnot, I think I pronounced it right, that will kill the rats and kill you if you eat it. But the 99% of the other ingredients, they're edible. But it's that 1% that will kill you. And these camps will come with 50% truth. Even a Catholic has some truth when they say that a 1-cup communion, and they do it with wine and not grape juice like the correct like the Christians. Even if you use this Bible, you will have some truth. You can't use this Bible and everything you teach is a lie. Jehovah's Witness, Baptist, Methodist, Episcopalians, anyone who uses this Bible, you will have some things correct. But the other things will send you to the lake of fire. But let's keep going. For false prophets and shall shew great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it was possible shall deceive the elect. So you see some of these people supposedly healing these people out of wheelchairs. Some of them are false prophets because they're deceiving the people. I heard this lady, she goes from church to church, and she's what's that called when you're double jointed? You know, I guess double jointed are those people that could do all this and do all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? All super bendable. I forgot the word. And they could put their legs behind and then show their legs over their things, whatever word for it. So she went from church to church. And then they'll be like, oh, and all she did is she got paid by false pastors to, and now her arm's healed. And I'm telling you, these churches were like, oh, he's a man of God. He's a man of God. He healed. And they followed her and they found out, they caught her. All she did is pastors will pay this lady because she was double jointed and her arm was all jacked up. And it, you know what I'm saying? There's no way they could, it was like the bone popping out and then and then I'm telling you, the churches were growing and she was making money. They would deceive these people. But let's keep going. There's a church in Africa. I'll try to find it and whatnot. But let's keep going. Wherefore, if it were possible to deceive the elect, behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret treasure, believe it not. Also deceive the elect. We see people that believe in the Most High and they go to college and come back an atheist. They will force Big Bang Theory and evolution, and there's aliens and there's life, and aliens brought life to this world to make people question the Almighty. To now they don't believe in the Almighty, they believe in science. If it were possible, they'd deceive the elect, but it's not going to happen. Let's keep going. For as lightning, verse 27, cometh out of the east and shineth unto the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man. But whoever carcass there is, there shall be eagles gathered together. And immediately after tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven. We're going to get into this. And the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Then shall there appear the Son of Man in heaven, and they shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. For they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with the power of a great glory. And shall send his angels, and with the great sound of a trumpet, they shall gather together his elect from the four winds into the end of heaven and to the other. We're going to deal with that. Now learn the parable of the fig tree, for when the branch shall shoot forth branches yet tender and putteth forth leaves, you know that summer is nigh. So likewise, when you shall see all these things, know that the near is even at your door. Verily, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not be fulfilled. But of the day and the hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father. But as the days of Noah, so shall be the coming of man. For as in the days of Noah before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage in the day Noah entered an ark. And they knew not until the flood cometh and took them all away. So also shall be the coming of the Son of Man. And this is what I'm going to point out is, we have a memorial of trumpets, and we're blowing the trumpets. These ministers are blowing the trumpet, but some of you guys aren't going to hear the trumpets. You are guys going to get swept away because you're not going to be paying attention, and you're going to be so concerned with the things of this life than realizing that these trumpets and these signs are coming. Now imagine the turtle and the rabbit, that whole story and whatnot. Now imagine every time the rabbit stopped, he was sinning. So the rabbit's like running this race, and the turtle's running this race. And the turtle is the trumpet. And sure enough, he just stops the sin, and the trumpet sound, and the trumpet passes them by, and then the end comes. The end of the race, because it says we need to run this race with patience. And that was probably not the best story I could have used, but you guys understand what I'm saying. But let's keep going. It says they're going to catch you unaware. Check this out. Then shall be two in the field, and one shall be taken away, and the other left. Two women grinding in the mill, one shall be taken, and the other left. Watch therefore, for you know not the hour that the Almighty doth come. Playing around. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known and watched that the thief will come, he would not have watched, he would not have suffered his house to be broken up with. Therefore be ye also ready, for such is the hour as you think not the Son of Man cometh. Just like he came quick and said, Noah, get in the ark, and then he passed judgment, that's how it's going to be when the Son of Man comes. Let's keep going. At that trump, he's going to blow that trumpet. Let's keep going. Now remember, the Passover is a memorial because he passed over the people and gave a deliverance. Now we see at the trumpet, the Almighty is going to come and deliver his people. So in like manner, if there was a Passover and there is a memorial for that, and we keep the Passover every year, if the trumpet is going to come and he's going to gather his saints, on that day he's going to gather his saints, is that not a day of memorial as well? Well, let's keep going. Verse 46, who then is a faithful and wise servant of the Lord, made him ruler over whole household, to give him meat in due season. Blessed is that servant whom the Lord, when he cometh, finds so doing. For verily I say that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. Because we're supposed to rule the world when he sets up this new kingdom. But if that evil servant say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink and be drunken. So you messing around with the cares of this world, you sinning and whatnot. Let's keep going, playing around with the Most High. Then the Almighty shall come in a day that he looketh not for him, in an hour that he is not aware, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of the teeth. Where do you think the hypocrites going? They're going into the kingdom to be saved? Where do you think they're going? Check this out. So, when the Almighty comes, trumpets are going to be blown. He says at that last trump, he dealt with the trump of the Almighty. He didn't say the last trump right there. But before the Almighty comes, there will be trumpets. And so he's saying there's going to be people that's not even hearing the sign of the trumpet. Trumpet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is going to come. And because they're playing around with the cares of this world, they're not watching and praying. And these signs are going to pass them by. Let's keep going. Give me, praise Almighty, I feel a little bit better now. Give me, now it's going to go faster pace. I read the longer chapters. Give me Ezekiel chapter 3. Ezekiel chapter 3. Starting at verse 17. Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 17. Now watch this. This goes for me too. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word of my mouth, and give warning from me. So the warning comes from the Most High. When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, thou givest him not warning, nor speaketh warning, to warn the wicked of his wicked ways, to save his life. The same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thy hand. So when I come through someone's alley and I see them not doing what they need to do, and I say, in hell, you're going to lift up your eyes. Get that stuff right. You can't be naming the name of the Almighty doing that. And I come down people's alley, it says I need to warn these people. Else, I see this brother or I see this sister doing something, and it's like, oh, well, I don't really want to offend, and this and that, and they're not really from my congregation, and this, even though there's one body, and I'm a Sheikh, there's one body. So if I see a brother from a different congregation and he's doing something wrong, I should supposed to say something because I'm my brother's keeper, but whatever. Oh, you're not from whatever. When they use that, they're not from my congregation, and you think it's just per congregation. It's not a body of Hamashiach. That is their way for them to continue to be in sin, and no one can condemn them. Oh, well, even though you condemn me on my sin, I'm not really from your congregation, so you really can't say nothing. Sin is sin. The Bible covers every single human being on this planet. So that argument in and of itself doesn't stand when you're trying to call out and prevent someone from going to the lake of fire. Now, I ain't gonna, oh, that brother is so-and-so, yeah, he's part of that congregation, so I ain't gonna start teaching them the Bible and doing all that stuff. That's different. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you need to pay your tithes over here or something like that. That's totally different. But if I see any brother that I believe is living holy and baptized, hey, I'm going to call it out. I'm going to call it out because the Almighty set up all ministers of watchmen, and we need to blow the trumpet. But let's keep going. It says, and if you warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wicked way, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered my soul. I'm not going to go to the lake of fire because I chose not to say anything. I've seen certain situations where people knew these people were doing wrong and no one wanted to say nothing. And that's why I always say, if I have to be the bad guy, just take a number like the DMV. I'm so used to people not liking me. It don't even bother me. At first it used to bother me like 7-10 years ago when people on the job and whatnot. But I realized this life, especially as minister in this life, you're always going the path less traveled. You're always going against the grain. You're always swimming against the current. And people's just not going to like you. So I just get to the point where I just take a number. Yeah, I got plenty of people in front of you that don't like me. Take a number and I deal with you when I deal with you. It just don't even matter. So when I come down people's alley, and if they get mad at me, they get mad at the word. Because if I'm dealing with you and I'm using the Bible behind it, you're getting mad at the word. It says if they hated you, they hated me first. So if you're getting mad at me, you hate the Most High. Because I'm just speaking the word. Let's keep going. Let's get it. So as a watchman, we're supposed to blow the trumpet. We're supposed to sound the trumpet. And I'll prove that. Because right here it didn't say trumpet. He says, hey, you need to warn the people. When you see danger coming, you need to warn the people. So go ahead and give me Isaiah 58. Because we're dealing with trumpets today. And I am going to get into the meaning, the symbolism of blowing the trumpets, but I want to deal with I want to come at it from a different angle, this blowing the trumpets. Isaiah 58, verse 1. It says, cry loud, spare none, lift out thy voice like a trumpet, show my people their transgressions and the house of Israel their sins. See, Isaiah and Ezekiel, they blew the trumpet. They told the people their iniquity and their sins, and then they didn't give heed to the sound of the trumpet. And this is why Amashiach says, watch and pray that these days don't catch you unaware when you see the sign of my coming at the last trump, or it says at the trump of the Most High. Because 6 other trumpets are going to come, and people are going to be playing around. Just like Ezekiel and Isaiah and Jeremiah blew the trumpet and warned the people and showed the people, and they take no heed to the sound of their trumpet. These people are going to take no heed to these signs and these things that are going to come to pass, and they're going to catch them unaware. But let's keep going. Give me Joel, chapter 2. Right before Amos. Joel's right before Amos. Small book. Joel chapter 2. After Hosea, before Amos. I'll read some comments. This is a library. Okay, cool. Joel chapter 2, starting verse 1. Check this out. Blow the trumpet. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion. Sound the alarm in my holy mountain. Let my inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Almighty cometh, for is nigh at hand. This sounds similar to Matthew. This sounds similar, Matthew 24. This sounds similar to Luke 21. The day of darkness and gloomiest, a day of clouds and thick darkness, as the morning spreads upon the mountains, and great people and strong, there have not been ever like it, neither shall there be any more after it, ever, to the years of many generations. So remember, we read that the moon shall not give his light, and the sun and the moon shall be dark, right? We read that in Matthew and in Luke 21, right? So here it says a great darkness. A fire devoured before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is the garden of Eden before them, and behind them desolate wilderness. Yea, nothing shall escape. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and the horses they shall run. Like the noise of chariots, and the top of their chariots shall they leap. The noise of the flame shall devour the stumble, and the strong people in the battle array. Before the face of the people shall much be pain. All faces shall be gathered in blackness. They shall run like the mighty man. They shall climb the wall like men of war. They shall march every one in his way, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one of them thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path. And when they have fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the city, and they shall run upon the wall. They shall climb upon the houses, and they shall enter in the windows like a thief. The earth shall quake before them, and they have heaven shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark. We just read that. And the stars shall withdraw their shining. The Almighty shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great. For he is strong and executed his word. For the day of the Almighty is great and very terrible. Who can abide it? Therefore also saith the Almighty, turn ye even to me with all your heart, and with fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning. Rend your heart and not your garments, and turn unto the Almighty, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and great in kindness. Repenteth him of the evil. Who knoweth if he will return and repent, and leave a blessing behind him, even a meat offering and drink offering unto the Almighty your Yah? Blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call assembly. And I'll stop right there. So he says the day of the Almighty is going to be a dark day. We have time to rend your hearts and repent now. The time to do right is now. It says this darkness. It's going to be a dark day for people not living right and holy. Let's keep going. Give me Amos, next book over, chapter 5. Amos chapter 5. Verse 18. Amos chapter 5, verse 18. Woe unto you. Amos chapter 5, verse 18. Watch this. Woe means destruction. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Almighty. Now we know, we just read in Mark chapter 24 and Luke chapter 21 what happens when the Almighty shows up that day at that trump. And we know we're dealing with the blowing of trumpets. So we know at the day of the Almighty, trumpets will be blown. And trumpets will be blown before he comes, right? So it says, woe unto you that desire the day of the Almighty. To what end is it for you? It is the day of the Almighty, of darkness, no light. It says, these people, if you're really saying you believe and you're secretly living in sin, it says you don't want it. You don't want the day of the Almighty to come. To what end is it for you? This is not going to be a beautiful day for you. Let's keep going. If a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or when a man went into the house and leaned up his hand upon a wall and a serpent bit him. Can you imagine you're running from a lion and you get away from the lion? Like those zombie movies. You know those zombie movies? He comes, he shuts the door, he shuts the door, and he's looking out the window, and like, I got away, and then he turns to his right and there's a zombie right there, and it's a jump scare or whatnot, or he's running from something and the danger's right on the side, or he looks this way, looks back this way, and then the monster's right in his face, there's a little jump scare. Imagine you running from a lion. And then I got away. And sure enough, there's a bear right there. Let's keep going. Verse 20. Shall not the day of the Almighty be darkness and no light, even very dark and no brightness in it? I despise your feast days. I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. What? We're keeping the feast day today. Why does he hate these days? Take away from me the noise of your songs, for I will not hear the melody of your vows. But let judgment run down from waters, and righteousness as a mighty stream. You have offered a sacrifice and offering in the wilderness 40 years, O house of Israel. But you have borne the tabernacle of Molech, and Churam, your image, the star of your God. And if you look up the Molech, that's the 6-point star that these false Jews use, and some of these camps use. That little star, that 6-point star, that's the star that conjure up witches. 5-point, 6-point star to do witchcraft as well. That if you look up that star, it's not the star of Dea, it's the star of Molech. So you can look that up. Google it, put star of Molech, and it will bring up that same star that people use for witchcraft, and these false Jews, the synagogue of Satan, use. So they were keeping the feast days, but they were in idolatry and sin. This is why he hated it. These Christians will say they believe the Most High, but then they got a Christmas tree. These camps will say they believe in the Most High, but they got these 6-point stars. And they got this false picture of the Messiah. And they got the fake picture of the Messiah with the Hojur Bajur and whatnot. All of them is idolatry. They got a lion with the crown on it. What's that? If you ask them, why do you have a picture with the lion with the crown with jewels on it? What's that? Oh, that's the lion of the tribe of Judah. That's the Messiah. So now you did like the Christians. They make the dove to represent the Holy Ghost, and you make a lion to represent Amashiach. And our people in Israel, we made a golden calf to represent the God that delivered us out of Egypt. It's the same thing to this day. So yes, these camps that are keeping these feast days, and they have these lions with crowns on it, and they have these 6-point stars, and they have this false picture of the Messiah. They are no different than our forefathers that made the golden calf and said, this is the God that delivered us out of Egypt. No different than the Christians that have the dove and said, this represents the Holy Ghost. Now we got the lion with the crown. It's the same thing. All of it's idolatry. So yes, he hates when these false camps keep his feast days. He hates those days too. But my main point is, the day of the Almighty is coming, and he's going to blow these trumpets, and it's going to be a dark day for people not living holy and right, because these signs are going to come, and they're not going to give heed to the sound of the trumpets that came beforehand. And when they get that last trump, it's going to be a day of darkness for them. It's not going to be a day of light for them. It's going to be a day of darkness, great darkness. Now, give me Luke chapter 12. Luke chapter 12, verse 37. Okay, praise the Almighty. Luke chapter 12, verse 37. Hopefully this all making sense. I'm going to bring this all together. Luke 12, 37. Let's get it. It says, blessed are the servants whom the Almighty, when he cometh, once again, when he comes, it says at the trump. We just read in 24, when he comes at the trump, he's going to come at the trump. So when he's talking about his coming, it's going to be the end of the world, right? Just follow me with this. Blessed are those servants when the Almighty cometh, he find watching, because he also said watch and pray that these days don't catch you unaware, right? Verily I say unto you that he that girdeth himself and make him sit down at meat will come forth and serve him. If he will come in the second watch or in the third watch and find so, blessed are those servants. And this know that if the good man of the house had known what hour the thief will come, he have watched and not suffered his house to be broken up. Be ye therefore ready also, that the Son of Man cometh at an hour when you think not. Always be ready. Always be living holy and living righteous, keeping the commandments. And Peter said unto him, Lord, speak this parable unto us, even unto us all. And the Almighty said unto him, this is a faithful and wise servant, whom the Almighty shall make ruler over his household, and give them portion of meat in due season. Blessed is the servant whom the Almighty, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Of the truth I say unto you, he will make him ruler over all that he hath. But if that servant say in his heart, my Almighty delayeth his coming, and it's real easy to be complacent. Complacent with reading, complacent with fasting, complacent with praying, complacent. Sometimes you just dip and dab and watch something you probably shouldn't, whatnot. It's real easy for your convictions to get dull. Your sword will get dull if you don't keep it sharp. You keep it sharp by fellowshipping with the brothers and sisters, staying in prayer, staying in that word, fasting every once in a while. Stay focused on the Most High. Let's keep going. Fine, so doing. But and if that servant sin in his heart, the Almighty delayeth his coming, shall be to beat the manservants and the maidens, and eat and drink, and to be drunken. Now you dip and dab in sin, right? He's using an example as dip and dabbing in sin. The Almighty his servant will come in the day when he looketh not for him, and the hour when he is not aware, and cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the unbelievers. So these people that's not watching and praying, these days are going to catch you unaware, and you're going to have the same portion with the unbelievers. Where do you think the unbelievers going? And that servant that knew his Lord's will and prepared not himself, neither according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. But he that knew not, he said he didn't call him a servant, a person, an atheist, an unbeliever, that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes, shall be beaten with few stripes. For whom so much is given, to him much shall be required. And to whom much is committed much, to him will he ask the more. He's going to be beaten with. So if we don't go all the way, if a person serving the Almighty goes the way of wickedness and don't make it into the kingdom, they're going to be beaten with many stripes. Our punishment in the lake of fire will far exceed an atheist, a Big Bang Theory, far exceed Hitler, far exceed any atheist out there, because we knew the Almighty's will and we did things worthy of stripes. Once again, that's when he comes. Now give me Luke 21:34 once again. Luke 21:34, and then we'll do the shout outs, and then I'm going to break down it. Now we're going to get deeper. Luke 21:34. Let's get it. And Yeshua answered unto him, 21:34. There we go. Take heed to yourselves, lest any time of your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunken and cares of this life, so that the day come upon you unaware. If you're playing around, dipping, dabbing in sin, these signs, because if I'm focused on playing around the cares of this world, these signs, I'm not watching and praying. Trumpet 1, trumpet 2, trumpet 3, trumpet 4, and finally the last trumpet. And no, there's 7, but we're going to get into that. It's going to come to pass. And you're going to be caught slipping. Because he just said there's going to be people that's going to get caught slipping. He's going to come in an hour that they think not and appoint them their portion with unbelievers. So he's already saying there will be people that's going to get caught slipping. They're not going to give heed to the sounds of the trumpet. Let's keep going. Let's get the shout outs. Oh, I forgot to get the shout outs on this phone, because shout outs is on that phone because she can't send text messages. Shout out to all the people that watched last service. I appreciate you guys. I'll add you guys to this service and we'll roll. Now, Leviticus 23. Let's get into what is the memorial trumpets. What does that symbolize? How is that fulfilled? Leviticus 23. Again, we're just going to read 2 verses. Leviticus 23, 2 verses. We're almost done. 23:25. 23:23. And Moses spake and the Almighty spake unto Moses, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, which is today, you shall have a Sabbath, a memorial of trumpets, a holy convocation. You should do no silver work therein, but it shall be offering made by fire unto the Almighty. So this is the blowing of trumpets. So how is that came to pass? How is that fulfilled, or will it be fulfilled, or whatnot? And the answer is no, it is not fulfilled. This is why we can't do away. It says, not one jot or title shall pass from the law until all fulfilled. Think not I came to destroy the law, but I came to fulfill. So this is forever. This is a memorial throughout our generations, and we'll be keeping these feast days, even in new heaven, new earth, and new Jerusalem. But let's keep going. So give me Revelations 8, and we're going to read, and we'll break this down, and this is why I said you have to be a prepper. Revelations 8, and we got a lot to read. Revelations chapter 8. So it's a memorial of trumpets. The sun's kind of getting on my nerves. I'm going to try to change this up a little bit. Bear with me. See if I can change it up. Revelations chapter 8. And we're going to start at verse 1. Praise the Almighty. I feel better now. I don't know what happened. I almost felt like a mild case of food poisoning, where you get a little headache and you get nauseous and you got your saliva start kicking in because you're about to throw up, whatnot. But I was like, what did I eat? I just ate a protein drink and a bagel. You know what I'm saying? Like, what did I eat? There's nothing I eat that requires food poisoning. Let's keep going. Revelation chapter 8, verse 1. Now, I'm going to read a little bit slower. It's going to be long-winded. I want you guys to pay attention. I'll break it down as we go. And when he had opened the 7 seals, there were silence in heaven. Who keeps texting some stuff? You. Okay, some people. Oh, you replied. Yeah, I can't read the shout outs, the messages you're sending right now on that phone while I'm doing the live streaming. The space of a half an hour. And I saw 7 angels which stood before the Most High, and there were given 7 trumpets. 7 trumpets. Keep that in mind, because it's blowing the trumpets today. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having the gold and silver, and they were giving him much incense, that they should offer it with the prayers of the saints upon the golden altar which is before the throne. And the smoke and the incense came with the prayer of the saints ascended before the Almighty out of the angel's hands. And the angel took the censer and filled it with the fire of the altar and cast it upon the earth. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings and earthquakes. And the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and there followed hell and fire and mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of the trees were burnt up, and all the green grass were burnt up. So third part went desolate. So do you think there's going to be a lot of food for the people on the planet? Probably not. So if we are watching and praying and we see these things come to pass, we might want to make preparations, right? It says that these days don't catch you unaware. If you're not preparing food, oh, you're going to get caught unaware. Let's keep going. And the second angel sounded, and it was a great mountain burning with fire cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood, and the third part of the creatures that were in the sea had no life, and the third part of the ships were destroyed, and the third so now a lot of the fish in a lot of edible food in the sea is going to be destroyed. A food shortage in that aspect. So we have on land and we have in the sea. And if a third part of the plants are dead, then what's all this cattle and the beef and all the stuff that eats the plants, all the sheep and whatnot? So a lot of our food sources will be restricted. Let's keep going. In the third part, verse 10, and the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning it as a lamp, and fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the mountains. And the name of the star was called Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. So now we have a water shortage. So what you think you need to do as a saint of the Most High, or what these ministers and their congregations should be doing, you should be asking your minister, what are we doing to make preparations for when these times come? Even if it doesn't come in our lifetime, let's say if it comes 100 years from now, that I know True Hebrews United and whatever ministers, we stock stuff in store and they added to it to where our generations, the saints of the Most High then will be okay. So let's keep going. So a food shortage, verse 12, and the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars. We just read that in Joel, that the sun and the moon will be dark, and the stars will not show its light, right? We just read that. Let's keep going. At the day of the Almighty, it says it's a day of darkness for these sinners. Stars, and the third part was darkness, and the day shone for a third part of it, and the night likewise. And behold, I heard an angel flying through the midst of the heaven, saying on with a loud voice, woe, 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 destruction, destruction, destruction to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet and the 3 angels which are yet to sound. So it says, hey, you think this is bad? Wait until these next 3 trumpets be sounded. Wait until these sinners feel these next 3 trumpets. Let's keep going. See, the day when he comes, all these trumpets already came to pass. This is why there is no rapture. We will be here. The saints will be here during this time. This is why the time to play, you're going to get caught unaware. Because even if you say, oh, I see this sign, but you didn't make preparations. And so let's say now, prime example, I tell you, hey man, see these signs? They're burning all these food distributor companies. Hey guys, look, the place in Dutch, they're the second largest exporter of food, and they're taking the farmers' land. I said, hey, there's going to be a food shortage next year. Hey, they're going to be laying off a lot of people next year. Make sure you have a job or do something like that. And I'm blowing the trumpet when I give the news. And you don't take heed, so then you're going to come, right? You're going to be like, hey, man, next year there's a food shortage. But guess what? You got $100, but rice just doubled. It's not $20, it's $40. And your oats is not $10, it's $20. So now you can only get half as much because you didn't give heed to the sign of my trumpet. Or you lost your job, so guess what? Now you can't buy food because you didn't give heed to the sound of the trumpet because you was playing around. But let's keep going. Verse 9. Or there's no food on the shelves. Verse 9. Chapter 9. And the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star from heaven fall from heaven upon the earth. And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose smoke out of the pit, and the smoke of the great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkness by reason of the smoke. And there came out of the smoke, hold up, there's a little windy. Out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and there was given power over the scorpions power as the scorpions upon the earth, and it was commanded that they shall not hurt grass nor earth nor any green thing nor any tree, but those men which have not the seal of the Almighty on their foreheads. And I praise the Almighty for that, because like say we're at it where we have to flee to the wilderness, and there's like 15, 20 of us, right? And this fourth angel sounds, and you're like, brother so and so just got stung by this locust. You're like, all right, brother so and so ain't brother so and so no more, because he's passing judgment, and these things only gonna sting the people that don't have that mark on their forehead. It's gonna get real tight to be a hypocrite in these days. You're not gonna, it's almost gonna be when they were in the wilderness and the Almighty put leprosy on some of these people because they were sinning in secret, but no one knew about it, so the Almighty gave them lepers. And once you got leprosy in the wilderness during Moses' time, we knew you was sinning. We don't know what sin you was doing, but you was sinning, because he only put leprosy on sinners when they were in the wilderness. So you got to go outside the camp, and you got to pray, and hopefully in 7 days the Levites come back and whatnot, and hopefully you repent. And you had to wait. It took a while before you came, because they come back for 7 days. Okay, the leprosy, it stopped spreading, but it still stayed there. Let's go back. And then they got to come back another 7 days, and they're like, okay, this and that. Then you got to come and stay outside your tent and wash yourself and cut your hair. You got to do all this process to be right with the Most High. And it's going to be the same thing. It'll be 15, shalom, shalom, super shalom. I got the fringes, shalom, shalom, shalom. You're going to be doing all this shalom, Aki. You're going to be doing all this shaloming, and these locusts going to come and sting your behind, and everyone's going to know you in sin. You're going to be taking the Passover unworthily, because it says you eat it and drink it damnation to your soul, so you're really living in sin. But I don't want everyone else to see that I can't take the Passover, so let me go ahead and take this, and no one's going to know that I'm really sinning. I'm hypocrite. So you're going to take that, and you're going to fool everyone, but the Almighty's going to send this trumpet. And he's going to separate the wheat and the tares, because we know when someone gets stung by this thing, oh, you ain't right. It's time for you to get outside the camp. Let's keep going. Verse 4, seal upon their foreheads. And them it was given, and they should not kill nor destroy, or should kill them, but they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was the torment of a scorpion when he striketh them. In those days all men shall seek death and not find it. They shall desire to die, and death shall flee for them. And the shapes of those locusts shall be of horses prepared unto battle, and their heads were as the crowns of gold, and their faces were the faces of man. And I see some animals that have faces like man, like there's a fish, and there's a couple other animals, and it's kind of creepy when their face resembles like a human. But anyways, faces of man, and they had hair as the hair of a woman, and their teeth were as the teeth of a lion, and they had a breastplate as the breastplate of iron, and their sounds were as the wings. I can imagine these locusts are vicious. There's some bugs that look kind of vicious in and of itself, like a camel spider and whatnot. The sounds of the chariots were many horses running to battle, and they had tails like scorpions, and with stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt man 5 months. And they had a king over them, which was the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew was Abaddon, but the Greek name was Apollyon. But the one woe is past, and behold, there cometh 2 woes more after. And the 6th angel sounded, and he heard a voice from the 4 horns in the golden altar before the Almighty, saying unto the 6th angel, which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which were bound of the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loose, and they prepared an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay a third part of man. So a third part of human beings are going to die through war, famine, starvation. A third part. This is why brothers and sisters need to prepare. Let's say you're in a city. Let's say, I'll just use random names. Let's say, I don't know, Johnny and Angel. We'll just use random names. I'll just pick random names. They're in a city. And in that city, there's 100 people. But there's only resources for 20 people. What are you going to do? There's only water and food and resources for 20 people, and you have children. What are you going to do? This is why it's so important for the saints of the Most High to have a congregation, because we work as a team and a unit. And this is a 3-chord chord band is not easily broken when you have 3 people together. It's like, what are you going to do? Because this stuff is coming. Whether you have a congregation or not, this stuff will come to pass. This time clock is working against you. Against all of us. Whether you sinner or you serving the Almighty. We will have to deal with these trumpets if it happens in our lifetime, right? And so what are we, it says, watch and pray that these days don't catch us unaware. So he wants us to make preparations for these trumpets to be blown. So what are we doing? Because there's no way you're going to fit. Let's say if I'm a man. Yeah, I'm a man. What's up? This and this, I'm a man, right? Get some. You know I'm a man, right? And I have 2 kids. And we run out of food and water. And I have to leave the house. I have to leave my 2 children to go find resources. But guess what? After the 3rd or 4th trip, Dad never came back. So day 1, kids are starving. Day 2, Dad never came back because Dad shot. Dad got killed or whatever. He got killed trying to get some water. Or got killed trying to get some food. Or he got some food and someone seen him and robbed him and killed him. So then what? See, these situations will happen in this scenario. Because a third part of the water, a third part of the food source in the sea, a third part of the food source on the land, and then a third part of the people, this stuff will happen. And the brothers and sisters are going to need to stick together as one joint force. Let's keep going. And this is not even counting that the Antichrist is making war against the believers. Because you can neither buy or sell unless you have this mark. That's not even dealing with that aspect. This is just what the Almighty's bringing upon the planet. Now, even during this time, you have the Antichrist coming and saying, hey, you need to do this. You can't buy or sell unless you have the mark. It says he's going to wear out the saints. People's going to be getting their head chopped off because they're standing for the gospel. So we're already dealing with these workers of iniquity. We already trying to deal with these people. And then the Almighty's bringing plagues on this planet, on these sinners. But we're all fighting for limited resources. So how about we get our resources right now? So we don't have to be in that situation where we need to leave our family to go get resources. And guess what? One day I just don't come back. Now my kids got to fend for themselves. This is why I watch and pray. I give news for a reason. So you make preparation. Some of you guys I don't even know, but it's to save your soul. Let's keep going. So, let's get it. We're at verse 9. And the 6th angel sounded the trumpet and loosed the great river of the Euphrates. And the 4th was loose and prepared. All right, that killed a whole bunch of people. And the 3rd part, verse 16. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 2,000,000. And I heard a number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them sat on them, having a breastplate of fire, of jacinth and brimstone. And the heads of his horses were the heads of lions. Out of their mouth issued fire and smoke and brimstone. And these 3 were a third part of men killed by fire, by smoke, and by brimstone, which issue from their mouths. And their power was in their mouth and in their tails. And their tails were like a serpent's, and their heads had heads, and with them they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed with these plagues, yet repented not. So plagues went down and killed people. Repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils of idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and wood, neither can see nor hear nor walk. These false camps having these false pictures of the Messiah, neither repented they of their murders, nor their sorceries, nor their fornications, nor their thefts. These people keep playing. These trumpets are blowing, and these people keep playing. Now, this message is for the saints of the Most High, because these trumpets are going to get sounded, and I blow the trumpet, and other ministers on the thing cry loud, spare none, and they lift up their voice like a trumpet, and we keep giving warnings to the people, but they take no note. We have piped, and you did not dance. We have mourned, and you did not lament. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem that killeth the prophets. Every time he sent Jerusalem prophets to get them to return and to blow the trumpet, and they take no heed. And some people that you know will be these people that will come and will not know at the day or night that the Almighty come in the 3rd watch and the 4th night, and he'll cut him asunder and give them their portion with unbelievers. So let's keep going. Last one. This is the last. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud and with rainbows which upon his head, and his face is as it was the sun, and his feet were as pillars of fire. And he had in his hand a little book, and he set the right hand upon the sea, and left hand upon the earth. And he cried with a loud voice. And when the lion roared, and when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. Or what was going to happen with this last trumpet? This fly keeps coming around, or a bee or something. And when when the seven thunders uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice saying unto me, seal up those things which the seven thunders utter, and write them not. And the angel that I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand up to heaven, and he swore by him that liveth forever, who created heaven and all the things therein, and earth and all the things therein are, and the sea and all the things therein, which are therein. And there should be time no longer, because we'll have everlasting life. But those things of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin the sound, the mystery of the Almighty should be finished, as he had declared it to his servants the prophets. So the book of Revelations isn't going to tell you what's going to happen when he sounds that last trumpet. But we read in Matthew 24 and Luke 21, we know that last trumpet for sure. The Almighty's going to come back here. And we know from reading verse number 9, it says, woe, woe, woe for these last three trumpets. So when he comes, it's going to be extremely bad for sinners and extremely good for the saints of the Most High. But let's keep going. He reserved this for his servants, the prophets. But the good thing for us is we do have some prophets that know what happened. He actually gave it to some of our prophets, even though he didn't give it to us in Revelation. So go ahead and let's get Thessalonians. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. And we're going to start at verse 14. Two more scriptures and we are done. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 14. Let's get it. For if we believe that Yeshua Mashiach died and rose again, even so them which are asleep in Yeshua Mashiach will we bring with him. So there's a brother that's not with us. If we believe that he was in the Mashiach, hey, we're going to see that brother again. That brother that passed away. Let's keep going. For this we say unto you by the word of the Almighty, that we which are alive and remain at the coming of the Almighty shall not prevent them which are asleep. So when we come, we know it's salvation for us, and it's a woe, a destruction to these sinners on this planet. Right? It says, for the Almighty himself shall descend from heaven. We just read this in numerous scriptures. Mark chapter 24, Joel, straight Amos, Luke chapter 21. Let's keep going. And Luke chapter 12, right? For the Almighty himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with a voice, with the trump of the Most High, with the trumpet, and the dead of Mashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive with him shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Almighty in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Almighty. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. So he's going to get us, and at the same time he's going to send a destruction upon these people. Just like the days of Noah, so shall it be the coming of man. The Almighty grabbed Noah and put him in a ship, and he destroyed the whole world. The Almighty at this trumpet, he's going to come and grab his saints, which is not no rapture, because these people that believe in the rapture, they believe that they're not going to see these trumpets. No, we're going to be here for that. He's going to come, and that last woe, that last destruction, it doesn't show what he's going to do to these people, because it says, hey, don't write these. These thunders and these woes and these destructions, it says don't even write this. We don't know. But we know at that trump that he's going to get us. But you could argue, oh, that just says the trump. That doesn't say which trumpet. That just says the trump. So go ahead and give me 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Last scripture. First Corinthians chapter 15. Verse 51. Verse 51. Behold, I shew you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall be changed. In a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised up to incorruptible, and we shall be changed. At the sound of the last trump. Now, we just read in Revelation chapter 8, 9, all the 6 trumpets. In Revelation chapter 10, he dealt with the 7th trumpet. He says, don't write this. I'm going to save this. I'm going to reserve this to the prophets. My servants, the prophets. So we know at the last trumpet, he's going to come for us. So when we keep today memorial of trumpets, this hasn't came to pass yet. This has not been fulfilled yet. So how can we do away with something that's not fulfilled? Can they answer that? When have they have any Christian show me the fulfillment of blowing the trumpets? There was no trumpets blown when Amashiach was. You don't see any Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, any special trumpets or any symbolic of trumpets coming. So show me how blowing the trumpets is fulfilled, because I just showed you guys when this is going to be fulfilled. Not time and day, because no man, not even the angels, but I just showed you that it's not fulfilled. But let's keep going. Verse 53, for the corruptible must put on incorruption, and the mortal must put on immortality. So when the corruptible have put on corruption, and the mortal have put on immortality, then you shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? And O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But thanks be to the Almighty, which hath given us the victory through our Lord Yeshua Mashiach. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Almighty. For as so much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Almighty. And we will go through some tough times, but our labor is not in vain. Keep pressing, keep striving. Our labor is not in vain. Give heed to these trumpets. When these ministers blow the trumpets, and when you see these signs, watch and pray. Don't be these people that it says that, but that servant that say the Almighty delayeth this coming, he begins to eat and drink and get drunken and beat some of his manservant, and says that the Lord will come in a day that he think not, and an hour that he think not, and cut him asunder and appoint him his portion with the unbelievers, because the Almighty is going to come. And I don't know how they're going to go ahead and say, man, I know it's just hard to find food, and it's hard to find water, and what's these bugs doing stinging everyone? I'm like, how are you going to see these signs and not repent and come? But he's saying people will see these signs and still not repent and still get caught. And he's talking about servants. His servants is going to get caught slipping at the last trumpet. So how did you go through 6 trumpets and still didn't say, hey, man, you know what? I've been kind of halfway serving the Almighty. I need to go full strong because, yeah, somehow it's going to happen. And in like manner, you look at the Almighty showed all these signs in Israel. All these plagues of lice and bees and all this stuff. What's that song Sister Whitney we have? The flies and fruits and fishes and something. She has a song, right, of these plagues, right? All these plagues. Then the Almighty split the Red Sea and brought them across. And shortly after, they just didn't believe the signs. They just, oh, why did you even take us here, Moses? And they, oh, where's our food? And we don't have water. And you brought us here to die. And we should have stayed in Egypt. And they just ignored all the signs. And so in like manner, there's going to be people that name the name of Mashiach. And these signs are going to come to pass. Because they're so focused on sin and the cares of this life. These signs will come and they'll be like, oh, you know, I just noticed it's just a couple of earthquakes in diverse places. It's probably nothing. And then the last trump's going to sound, and then they're going to get their portion with the unbelievers. Don't let that be you. Let us be the people that make it into the kingdom. So, with all that said and being done, keep standing. Don't drop standards. Get the Almighty hand clap. Shalom.